So talk to me about the 3 feet from gold that you said there's so many ways you can attribute it. What is the main reason? Is this the main reason that most people just don't have the perseverance, the stamina? Why is it that people give up when it gets too hard?
Well, in 3 Feet from Gold, one of the guys I interviewed created something called super string theory. If you ever watch Big Bang Theory, Sheldon figured it out. And what it came down to is I asked him a question. I go, what's the difference between people who succeed and those who fail? And here's his answer. Successful people seek counsel, but failures listen to opinion.
I love that.
And I said, what's the difference? He goes, opinions based on ignorance, lack of knowledge, inexperience, like all your family friends who've never done what you want to do.
Come on.
Counsel's based on wisdom, knowledge, and mentorship. So if I go to a family friend and say, I'm going to become a best-selling author, they're going to try to do everything to talk me out of it, to protect me, to keep me safe, and I'm dyslexic. And guess what? They've never written a best-selling book. But if I hang out with Mark Victor Hansen or Sharon Lechter and I say, what do? They're going to say, sit down, here's what you need to know, and give you counsel based on wisdom, knowledge, mentorship. If we would spend our activities only seeking counsel and ignoring opinion, that is the day, that's the moment your life will change.
Unbelievable. That's so simple.
So simple. Everything we're going to talk about today is simple. And that's one of the greatest things about the people that are the most successful. They're also the most available.
Unreal. Because I remember when my wife and I launched Real Deal Wellness, we went to a few people to kind of quote unquote pitch the idea, and they're like, I don't know. I don't think this is going to work. Like, what are you doing? This is not good. The price point's too low. You know what I mean? Like blah blah blah. But then I went to some other counsel, said, "Oh, you're onto something." I said, "Okay." And not that I needed that, but it was just interesting.
Well, it's funny you even say that, because at Secret Knock in a couple weeks from now, we've got the guy who invented something called Offer Up. It's an app on your phone.
Oh, something.
Okay, well, not everybody knows what it is, but I asked him, I said, at the end of the day, I go, did all your investors think you're crazy? He goes, no, not one of them. They believed in me. But everyone that didn't invest, yes, they did. So they thought he was crazy.
Thought he was crazy. Oh, yeah,
he
yeah.
only
yeah.
listened to the people who believed in him.
Yeah. Oh, what a crazy concept.
Right? Well, all these people, it's so interesting how simple and close we are 3 feet. For example, Brian Smith, he'll be coming again to Secret Knock, and he's the guy who created UGG boots, you know, a multi-billion-dollar brand.
Yeah.
And I said, how was it your first year? And he goes, oh, it was horrible. He goes, we only sold 38 pair. I go, why didn't you quit? He goes, I couldn't afford to. I go, what do you mean? He says, I borrowed too much money from my family and friends, and I had a back room full of UGG boots, so I figured I'd sell them. Then I'd quit, because say I give it a shot. But then Oprah ended up making it her favorite things, and it blew up and became a great success.
Oh my gosh. 3 feet from gold.
3 feet from, isn't it interesting?
And it's so funny that because with Real Deal Wellness, I straight up and put this on the air. I borrowed money from a most beautiful, amazing family and friend of mine. There's absolutely no way I'm quitting, because I'm going to make sure that they get their money back, that they bet on, that they were willing to bet on me and my wife with a dream and just an idea that came to us. They were willing to bet on. There's no way I'm quitting. That's motivating me more than anything.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. That's what's missing in today's society. It's the difference between being committed and interested. So if you start a brand new restaurant because it's a hot trend and you're interested, as soon as things go wrong, you're going to quit. If you inherit the family Italian restaurant that's been in the namesake for generations, you're going to find a way to make it through.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a lot of people just don't have that commitment level anymore.
So let's talk about that here. What's happening now in like with our society? What are we calling the kids right now that are teenagers? Are they? I don't even know all the terminology. X things, Z, Gen Z.
X-Men, I don't know. I have no idea.
What trajectory are we going in right now where everybody's, all the kids right now are glued to their phones, they're on TikTok, Snapchat. Where's this going to go? Is this going to implode? Is this going to be?
No, it's just
or
going to
is this
redirect.
opportunity?
It's opportunity. It's redirect. I'll give you an example. When you and I were kids, we'd play with BB guns and Nerf balls, right? And today they're playing with this. And I sat someone down who was a very intelligent person from Harvard, and I said, you know, this is frustrating me because I can't pull my kid away from this thing. He goes, you don't understand. He goes, that's just their activity. Just like when you were a kid, that was your activity, that's their activity. And things have progressed. He goes, you sound like your great-grandfather when you played Kiss albums. Yeah. Turn down that music, right? And now it's the commercial for the brand new car that's coming out. He says, so things are just evolving. And so I started looking at it and said, okay, how do we start seeing things from a different perspective? My son's only 12. And what's interesting is he got, I think, $7,000 a couple years ago or a few years ago from his grandparents. I said, what do you want to do with it? I go, let's go put it in the bank. He says, no, go buy me a Bitcoin. I go, what the hell's a Bitcoin? He goes, well,
Your son said this?
Yes.
12 years old.
Yeah, but he did it when he was 7, I believe.
7?
So yeah, so we went and bought him a Bitcoin, and I got some, and now we are doing okay. And so my son's actually worth more money than almost all adults that I know.
Shut
at
up.
12 years old, because again, yes, he's on these video games, but he was on.
He knew it more than you did.
Because he was on the cutting edge of seeing what was happening. And that's what I'm saying. It's just a different vehicle. And here's what's really cool. I did a podcast recently with somebody, and they changed my perspective of how I raised my kid. Yeah. And this is a really interesting one.
I want to hear this.
This changed everything. I sat him down, and I was doing this interview, and they asked me a question. They said, do you give your son money to do things he doesn't like to do around the house? Mow the lawn, take out the trash, make his bed. I said, of course. I go, I'm going to teach my son the power and the respect of earning income and the power of money. And she said, that's a shame. You're ruining your child forever. I expected more. From a student's mindset, I said, teach me. She goes, think about it. You're training your child from the earliest thought, the earliest of memory. The only way to get paid money is to do something they don't like to do.
Wow.
And I just had the epiphany.
Wow.
And I sat him down and said, Colt, man, you make these killer videos and TikToks, back to the technology. And says, from now on, I go, I got a social media following. You make all that. I'll pay you your allowance for what you excel at. And how about you make the bed for living in this ocean view estate that we do? And we changed our conversation. So now when the brand new Jordans come out, he says, Dad, how many TikToks you need for the new kicks?
I have goosebumps, dude. This is huge.
Yeah. So simple, right?
I've never heard this.
Yes. Well, and also you got to be careful because
that's a job.
Yes.
That's what we're programming him for, and that's what our society wants.
There you go. And
that's what school's programming.
And what if you actually work smart and not hard? And it was very interesting, again, because, when things were challenging through the last couple of years, my kid sees his money going up through the roof through all this other stuff. And he goes, I don't get why you guys are working so hard. Different mindset.
Yeah.
And they listen to everything. I always say, work your strengths, hide your weaknesses. Work your strengths, align your weaknesses. Right after COVID happened, we had our first party, and I'll never forget this. And we invited a bunch of people.
So COVID shut you down?
Shut me down for a couple of years.
Yeah.
It was a great experience. So let's come back to that.
Okay, yeah.
But at this time, I said, Cole, we're going to have a bunch of people over. Go make your bed, clean everything, do your collaboration, your contribution. About 15, 20 minutes later, his best friend comes down. And he has a handful of cash. And he goes to his dad, says, hey, can you put this in the bank for me? I go, where'd you get that? He goes, your son gave it to me. I go, for what? He goes, I made his bed. I took out the trash and I cleaned up his closet. So I called my son down and said, Cole, get down here. And he goes, yeah. And I go, did you just pay him money to do those things? He goes, yeah. I go, why'd you do that?
You told me.
He says, work your strengths, hide your weaknesses. I had other things I needed to do.
Too good. This is too good. Oh my! What would you say? Okay.
Almost every day I run into this because I go, fair enough, because they see things from a different perspective. When he got in this bad, bike crash 6 months ago, and now he's recovering and he wants to ride
How
again.
old is he now?
12. He'll be 13.
Wait. Mm-hmm. And I remember hearing about this.
Yeah.
Was it an e-bike?
Yeah, he was riding his e-bike in the bike lane, wearing full gear. He's going the speed limit, had a light on, and a car just pulled out in front of him at dusk, and they just didn't see each other. It's just a legitimate accident. However, he has the most severe brain injury a human being can have. There's nothing higher than what he has. And they're supposed to be in a coma 6 months and maybe speak after 2 years. And he's a prolific young man. 60 days later, he walked out of the hospital, shaking everyone's hand, saying, thanks, guys, I got this from here. And now it's been 6 months later. He's recovering like no one's ever seen. And he's the first human that we know of his age ever recover. And so it's just phenomenal to watch. And we believe it's the mindset. It's the stuff we taught him along the journey. But there's so many people that came to his aid of local anomalies that people normally don't have access to. That red light therapy. All the stuff that you have out there is what we gave our son access to. And it's those modalities, the peptides, the things that we probably can't even talk about. Those are the things that actually heal them.
Because the body can naturally heal itself. We just have to know how to trigger those natural healing properties. Most people don't know that because we're all priced out, or the average person is priced out of this type of healing. because the mainstream doesn't want you to really know about it. They want you to rely on pills, right? We can go down that forever. But this is a big deal.
It is the real deal. And that's what's really nice, because these things do work. We are a walking, living example of doing things that should not be done. And the doctors at Reid's, by the way, were the greatest in the world. They saved his life 100%. Yeah. But we believe these other modalities are what gave him back his life.
Wow.
And so they would walk in the hospital, and we'd be doing these different modality treatments that we can talk off air.
Yeah.
And there was like Colonel Klink, I see nothing, and they just walk out because they wanted to see. And now they're coming to us saying, like, what did you guys do? What was that? And it's pretty neat because we want to help other people.